Welcome to Nash Talk live from Green Screen Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. A whole new setup because we're in this amazing place, unlike any other in the 21st century. And to my right, your left, and also right, we are in the presence of greatness right now. We have the one and only Danny Nova of the Danny Nova Band. So put your hands together for me. Hey, all right, on this beautiful sunny day here in February, near the end where it's blizzards everywhere, 2-3 feet of snow on the East Coast. We don't have a speck of snow. We had a little bit of flurries this morning. That's about it. I think the weather's going to warm up just fine. I'd like to introduce myself. I am Chris Anthony, and I am the host of this show called Nash Talk. And over the last couple of years, we've been just pushing and promoting some of the top artists and songwriters in and around Music City, Music Row. In fact, we are located in Berry Hill, I believe. Is that right, Danny?
Yeah.
Danny, welcome to the show.
Hey, buddy.
And before I begin, I'd like to let you guys know that we met about 3 years ago, and it took me about a month before I left Detroit to come down, and I actually was trying to figure out where I was going to stay. As a songwriter, as a member of the National Songwriting Association, along with many other people chasing their dreams, I thought, well, where should I go? Where can I stay? And with heavy research and a 2-hour conversation with this gentleman right here, I got to meet some of the greatest people from day one, the minute I got here, landed here, and stayed the summer of 2023, 2 solid months right on the Cumberland River, right?
Yeah.
We call it the River House. And this guy is like the tour guide, the mayor of downtown Nashville. We were everywhere, weren't we?
Oh, yeah.
We were. So, well, without further ado, let me get started because we're gonna dive all over the place. We're gonna start off with where he's originally from, and that is
New Jersey.
New Jersey. I knew that.
Jersey.
What's that?
North Jersey.
No. Okay. And that. So what prompted you as a young person? Because that's where it begins, right? How old were you when you decided that you wanted to become a musician?
I was 7.
7. What
6
sparked
or
you?
7, yeah.
6 or 7?
Mm-hmm.
What sparked you? What encouraged you to do that?
My mother was Debbie Lane.
Ooh.
She was a jazz singer. Yeah.
Wow. So you already had music in your blood, in your history, in your lineage?
Yeah.
So your mom inspired you?
Yeah, she would have rehearsals in our living room. And so she used to be with a special guest singer for the Four Seasons when they were called the Four Lovers.
Really?
So she had a pretty big stake in the jazz community, and then they decided to go pop, and that's when she said, I'm gonna bail out. And then she opened up her own nightclub called Debbie's Lounge in Harrison, New Jersey.
Wow, that's amazing.
And she met, of course, everybody. She got to go out to dinner with Mia Farrow and Frank Sinatra and her person, and they would do dinners quite often. And she got to sing in front of Frank Sinatra, who actually wanted to work with her, but my mother's boyfriend at the time, who was partners with Frank Sinatra, was against that future engagement type thing. He didn't want his business partner and his girlfriend working together.
So wow, that's pretty intriguing right there. What a way to start out, right? A little heavy duty action from the New Jersey scene, and those are some heavyweights right there for sure. So on that, you decided to pursue what? I mean, did you follow in that genre that she was in, or did you was there something that clicked with you that resonated as far as genre, sound, style of music?
Well, obviously, growing up in a household she was a jazz singer. She was a great jazz singer. Had great reputation. We would tour when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and so I got the touring lifestyle as well. But I always sort of leaned towards what was being played on commercial radio at the time. So, and back then it wasn't so much genre separation in formats. It was the stations that we would listen to were, you had a country song, you had a rock song, you had a pop song, you had a jazz song. I mean, that's how I was turned on to 1 minute listening to Johnny Cash, right? A Boy Named Sue.
But,
And then the next minute listening to something from a popular artist or rock band. And there was a lot of R&B. So I got
you got a wide range right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great. And I learned then that, you didn't have to be one genre in order to play music or enjoy it. So I was into playing everything and singing everything. That's what makes us a multi-genre band now, because I just said I'm not going to be pigeonholed into one genre.
Right. And we're going to get to all that too.
Yeah.
All the way to how you got here. So, and what you're currently doing and what your future endeavors are going to be. So we want to cover a lot. We got a lot of ground to cover. So I just want to give a little background to the audience so they know exactly, maybe somebody out there will see this and go, wow, I want to do what Danny Nova did. And I want to, what got him motivated? How did he pick up your instrument of choice, the guitar, and of course the harmonica? And when I met him a few years ago, I had one harmonica, and it was, I think, a C major, and he whips out this big case. He had all the different chords for all the different styles, and you mastered that pretty well, as well as the guitar. So what got you to play the guitar? Jazz. You could have picked up the piano or the bass, or.
Well, my mom having rehearsals in the living room with some of the best jazz players in New York metropolitan area. It was just, the guitar just was amazing to me, especially jazz guitar players that were just doing such amazing things.
Was there any particular artist that you really liked that played the guitar, or was it a handful?
I liked everybody that could play better than me.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. So then did you play in high school? Was that your first? When did you actually begin to play live? And in front of what?
I was in second grade.
Second grade. Wow. Second. That's starting off pretty good. Michael's sitting in the back there going, yeah, he's smiling. My executive producer with it. Well, okay. So then second grade. Now that must have made you pretty popular right off the bat.
Well, it wasn't for the school. It was at a function. So, and I wasn't very good.
Oh, really?
Not second grade. Back then we didn't have the tools that we have today. YouTube, you can go on YouTube and see a 6-year-old, 7-year-old playing phenomenal because he's been watching YouTube videos since he or she is 3 years old.
Sure.
So we didn't have any of that. It was just, I just had to do it on my own.
Yeah, memory is key, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I'll fast forward. We don't have to go through the grade school to the high school, but I do want to go to, you must have performed in different places and locations in and around your area. And then somehow you ended up, I don't want to be going too fast, so you can slow me down anytime. You ended up playing one of the most popular and most acoustic laden places on the planet, Carnegie Hall. So do you want to start?
Well, I do want to bring one thing.
Go ahead, please.
Because
in this wobbling chair, I apologize.
So from second grade, I really didn't play live for many years after that, just little things. But it was our first, I put a band together in South Orange, New Jersey. South Orange is where a lot of musicians and artists, so Oates. It's just one. If you look it up, you can see how many people came out of there. And so it was in 5th or 6th grade, we put a band together, and we called it, back then, it was The American Dream.
Okay.
Crazy, right?
No, yeah.
But well, it was our dream. And we had a band, and we learned cover songs. We were learning some pretty sophisticated music. Jimi Hendrix, where I was doing Purple Haze, and this is 12 years old. Here I am. Now, mind you, we didn't have YouTube, so we just had to do everything by ear and all the popular songs at the time. And we made a splash in our town of South Orange, and they hired us. The town actually hired us to play the Centennial um, on our stage, on a big stage, which there were thousands of people there, and all of our friends and all the grades were there, and there's still pictures out there floating around of a bunch of 12-year-olds, 13, 15-year-olds,
That's gotta be
10-year-olds. We were all out there, and we were rocking the stage. The stage was about 10 feet high, or at least that, 6 or 7, well, maybe 6 or 7 feet high. And I'm looking down, and over 1,000 people, and we're just like, let's go. We started rocking out, and in between songs, I would just start talking about the song or this or whatever, and just saying hello to my friend. And it was great. And then that was my really first, and we got paid $100 to do it.
$100.
We were happy.
That's a lot of money back then,
it was
right?
like $100, and it was,
Jeez.
yeah, this is great.
That's good money now.
Yeah, you walk away with 100,
right?
You walk away with.
Yeah.
But we didn't have merch or anything to sell.
Right.
We weren't that advanced, but that's the experience. That is what charged me from that moment on. It was before that, but live entertainment. So playing live to an audience of people who knew us,
Right.
some didn't, and there were a lot of people that didn't. I had a lot of older people come up to me and say things like, "How did you learn to speak to an audience the way you did? You were just so relaxed and everything." And I was like, "I don't know. I didn't learn it. It's just something I did. I guess I just thought I needed to talk to people, and that's what I do."
Stage fright never entered your mind?
They didn't have it.
That's amazing.
It's a weird thing.
There's
People
artists
talk about that all the time.
Yeah, there's people that perform and are best at what they're, and they don't want to hear their voice. They don't want to see their movie. They have to do a routine before they get on stage.
Not me.
He's just always, I've seen it. I've been there. But I also have to let them know that, I've seen it. He just loves to be in front of people on a stage, and that's half the battle right there.
Yeah, because it's where I feel most at home.
So did you develop like a following in your area, obviously, with
Yeah.
this big audience? So, okay, that's where I was concentrating towards. And then again, and when I think of the places you played, like as far as like in school, did you play a particular venue that you really sought after and you couldn't wait to play besides before the Carnegie Hall moment? Was there places in and around New Jersey or what have you that you couldn't wait to play? Somebody played there that you admired, or did that matter to you at that point?
Well, I think as a budding musician, you start thinking about venues that you'd like to play, yeah, and you look at the local clubs. But I was too young to play in any of them,
Right.
But I always knew that Carnegie Hall was a fantastic place to play, and that was because I had seen a lot of footage over the years. The Beatles played there. I think that's Ed Sullivan. I think no, Ed Sullivan didn't play. Ed Sullivan was a big show, way before I was even born. But I think the Carnegie Hall thing was something pinnacle for me. Because I just felt that it was like, that's the place that you want to be.
So
and Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, right.
But Carnegie Hall even more.
How was it? Okay, so I'm going to ask you, like, what? Because there's people today that would love to play there, that are seasoned musicians that will never have the chance or haven't had the chance, and you did. And so, what was that like? What did that feel like? Take us through that a little bit. How did you? Okay, you got your eyes set on that, and you knew that was going to be a big deal. Anybody would. And then you ended up going to that. Was there a meeting that was involved, or was there somebody that you had to? How did you get to seize the opportunity for that?
Well, I had played around the country. I moved to Colorado for a little bit, Boulder, and then I moved to California. I joined my first professional nightclub touring, act in California, Southern California. They were called Cathedra. And I was only, I want to say 17. And they thought I was 21. And I was able to get with the band and wasn't even allowed and really legally allowed into the.
I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. But, those are things you do because your passion will make you.
Yeah. Determination's everything.
Skip over some of the rocks that you need to, you do what you do. Then I think I joined, I came back to New Jersey, went back to New Jersey, and then I joined the band. It was Whiplash. And they were on the circuit, the big club circuit, and I was going to be the new lead singer. And then the guitar player, Ron Hawkins, he calls me up and he says, "Hey, there's this band in Wisconsin and they need a lead singer and they need a guitar player. We just have to get out there. And they have a band house and they have everything ready to go. Full gear, PA, truck, everything. We just got to get there." And I said, "Let's go, Ron." And we went. We just packed up in a couple of days. We were rolling out to Wisconsin and we landed in Verona, Wisconsin. It was right outside of Madison, Wisconsin. And hooked up with Jeff Eisberner, who crazily, he and I have still been in touch, and he's looking to show up on March 14th. After all these years, I'm not seeing him. But anyway, so it was a band we formed. It was called Empire. And we did all the top cover songs. We did a lot of deep cuts and stuff. But I was only 18 years old. They thought I was 21 or 22. So again, it was funny. We went on, started touring. We rehearsed for 3 weeks. We had a band house. It was great. It was a really cool house. It was pretty new. We rented it, and we had a road crew. I was like, wow, this is the big time.
Right.
I thought it was the big time. But we went on. We started traveling. I didn't know anything about traveling. I didn't know anything about keeping books for the band or anything. But I was just like, yeah, fake it till you make it. And I just paid attention and observed. And again, there was no YouTube for me to learn these things. I just kind of stayed quiet. But it was great because we just started. We had an agent. Now, ironically, I'm still working with him, Dean Sweat of Paramore Group out of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We started working together about 2 years ago. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
cool.
It's all coming back around,
Right on.
And I'm still in touch with our tour manager. Mind you, I was 17 years old, and the tour manager is still. Now he went on to work with some really big bands, and he keeps calling me, and he's like, "I really want to revisit this thing because I believe in what you guys are doing. So when you need a tour manager, I'm in. I just can't wait for it to happen." And he loves what we're doing. So, but okay, so getting back to that was Empire, and I got the bug. We're just going from one gig to the next, from one state to the next, and hotels. Mainly in hotels, and we didn't have a tour bus or anything, but we're just going from one gig to that. 18 years old, yeah. And we went all the way out to Salt Lake City. We were playing from Salt Lake City all the way down to Florida, down to Cocoa Beach, Florida.
I know that place well.
And we were just at a time of our lives.
Yeah.
And then we would go down to Florida. They would book us.
Any juicy stories about that?
Oh, it was great. It was the daytimes were great because we had a whole bunch of new fans that we made once we got down there. The first night was very light, but then the second, it would book us for 5 nights straight. By the second or third night, the places were packed because they spread, when you're in that age group, 18, 17, 19, 20, you spread quick. And by the third night, fourth night, it was sold. So you couldn't get in. And this were pretty big clubs.
Right.
And, but we made a whole bunch of great friends. And during the daytime, we would all just pile in cars and just like 7, 8, 10 people in a car, literally just sitting on top of each other. We were 17, 18 years old. And we would go to the beach, Cocoa Beach. And that's what would happen. Everybody would just be out there jumping in the water, playing volleyball and stuff like that. That was the best time.
Especially when
then we played at music at night. So we'd go back, take a shower, and then we had to go on stage.
I've lived and worked in Florida, and I lived in Daytona, which is just north of that. And I can tell you that it's a whole different experience than being up here, especially if it's cold up here and it's warm down there. But every night, 7 nights a week, you can do something.
Yeah.
And they appreciate everything you do, So you got to that point. Now, was this before or after the Carnegie Hall experience?
Oh, many years before.
Many years before.
This is when I was 18.
Were you with them?
We're going.
I'm kidding.
No, we're going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I usually don't go back this far.
Okay.
I'm going back.
Well, no. Hey, like I said,
this is great. You can edit this and use it for future shows.
Right. No, we're gonna, like I said,
that.
we're extrapolating right now. We're trying to get as much information out of you as we possibly can, and it's pretty exciting because I know that this is your life. As long as I've known you, this has been, and that's it's a short window, but I've met a lot of people through you, and you seem to gravitate towards you, because I remember when I stayed with you a few years ago, just to give you an idea, we would either be out and about, we would be down Printers Valley or near the Gulch or wherever, Broadway. We went everywhere, and he knew everybody. Everybody knew him. They recognized musicians would come down, keyboardists would play, guitar play. Everybody, the rock bands would play. So it was kind of like hanging out with like not only a tour guide, but rock and roll or Nashville royalty, because that was your thing. You said to me something. I'm gonna just skip it. It's not really skipping ahead in the chronology of this, but you told me one time, because I think that you loved your homeland. You never complained about it, as far as being in New Jersey and all that. I never heard you ever say anything negative about it. However, you were down here for a stint, I think maybe it was 10 years ago or so. And then one day you decided to leave to go back home. And you can stop me when I'm wrong, because I'm kind of paraphrasing in my head, because it was just a simple conversation. But I remember what I recall was that you said by the time you were even, I don't know, you weren't even that far out of the state or something, and you turned around or something like that. Do I remember that right? But because you had to come back, something pulled you back to Nashville.
No,
I'm giving you the quick version about that.
I was on a small little tour. We were in Florida, and a drummer and I, let me just shut this off, folks.
Take your time.
Okay. Drummer and I, Cameron Rizzo, we were in Florida, and we were done playing down there. I think we had done like 30 dates in 32 days or something. It was crazy. I don't remember exactly the details, but we were exhausted. But I was just like, let's head to Nashville. A friend of mine, Felicia, had given us the key to her daughter's apartment. Her daughter was in college and just went out to. She was in London and living out there, so she had an apartment. So she said, go there. So that's how I first started to get involved in Nashville, by staying there. And I stayed away from Nashville for years because I was told that I constantly, by promoter and former manager who passed away, Bill Coyne, used to manage Kiss, and Billy Idol and Billy Squire. And he was like, gotta go to Nashville. And I would say things like, look at me. They're going to lynch me. I had long hair, earrings, the way I dress. I had such a misconception of what Nashville was. This is the first time, right? I was like, I thought that it was going to be like really closed circuit type situation where they would look at me as like, "Hey, boy, what are you doing here?" That kind of thing.
Right.
I don't know where I got that from. It's just the movies, you know.
Right.
When I got into Nashville, I was like, this is not the place that I thought it would be, and that everybody's just really relaxed and funky and rocked out, you know, countryed out. It didn't matter, you know, like people were like walking around with tattoos and longer hair than me and looked much freakier than me. So I just felt like, oh,
I'm home.
yeah, this is kind of cool. You know, I go into
Yeah.
a restaurant and people aren't like, "Ooh, look at this, you know, who's that? You know, what
Mhm.
is it? You know?" And then, because that was that's the life of a rock and roller, I guess you want to call us. We look different, and when we walk into places, some people go, "Ooh, wonder who that is," and other people go, "Ooh, you know,
Mhm.
like what is that? Is it a vampire or something?" And so you get both, depending on where you are in the country and what place you walk into.
Mhm.
But you can literally walk into any place in the United States, and like half the people are almost scared of you,
Mhm.
you know, and the other half are coming up for autographs or want to know who you are and all that stuff.
Sure.
Then once
I've
they
seen that.
spread the word that you're okay,
Mhm.
then the other half are like, "Oh, okay, you know, can I?" And then they start coming in.
Right.
So, but it's a little bit crazy like that. So when I got here, um, I was just like, this is a place where I actually super fit in more than I even did in my own hometown.
It's the Superman theory. You're not Superman back home.
No. And the John Lennon said the same thing. He said, "You'll never become a hero in your own hometown. You can come back a hero, but you can't be one." And that's why the Beatles went to Germany and Hamburg, and they played in Hamburg for 6 months.
Wow.
You know, I study all this stuff. That's why I know. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, you're an
And the Cheap
encyclopedia.
Trick, you know, we're talking about Cheap Trick. These are some of the bands that I know of.
Yeah.
I know them personally. You know. They went to
That's a great question.
they went to Japan, Budokan,
Yeah, I remember that.
to break. They weren't breaking here.
The
And
live
they-
album set him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want
Exactly
you to
what
want me and all that. So okay, let me
I
just.
knew Robin personally.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
And my
doesn't
Wisconsin
surprise
band was this crazy little thing, but a crazy little thing called.
Right.
Robin was dating someone, and our keyboard player was dating her. See,
Wow.
back then it was okay to date, you know. And so he was the keyboard player. Jeff was dating her, and Robin was dating her, and we shared road crews. So that's how the cheap thing kind of came together, and that's how I met Robin, and I met him back in New York. Years later, a couple of years later,
Mhm.
and we were leaning up against the wall, talking and having a conversation, and we just that's how. And then I've seen him since then.
Mm.
A couple occasions where I was playing, and he just happened to be where I was playing, and things like that. So, but I mean, I'm talking about Cheap Trick from Wisconsin and what happened there, and how all of a sudden it ended up in New York.
let me ask you a side question. 'Cause, I think we have visitors. I feel like Howardson has that. He goes that. You know, they knock on the door.
So go ahead.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Well, we got a.
So where were we?
Yeah, where were we? Okay. I just got kind of taken aback. What, if anything,
We
this
can
is.
edit that out, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's
Okay,
it
good.
is.
Am I okay?
So anyway, I guess speaking of like famous
Okay.
people, was there anybody that you were like taken aback by, like, oh, you know, I don't have stage fright, but then like somebody, I had a friend of mine tell me, you know, I met a lot of famous people, but it wasn't until Paul McCartney walked into the studio, and I was like a blubbering mess, you know, that kind of thing. Did you ever have that moment, or did you ever have some moment that was just like, wow?
You know, this reminds me of a story with Gene Simmons and I. And we
That's
were
right.
in Wisconsin with the band Empire, I told you about. And I was 18. I remember it very clearly. We went to a Kiss concert. It was the whole band. And because we were a pretty popular band, we had a lot of connections and stuff. So we were allowed to go back to the hotel and meet the guys. And, we're going to go party with them. So we get back to the hotel. Concert was great. Very exciting show. And so we go upstairs in the hallway, and there's security in front of their rooms. And they're like, wait here, everybody wait here. So we're waiting there. It's about maybe a handful of us, 10, 15 of us or something like that, waiting to actually meet the guys and talk to them and whatever. So they finally come out of their rooms, and security's there, and it was my turn. So I wanted to talk to Gene. He's like up here now because he's got 6-inch heels on, and Gene is 6'2", 6'3", anyway, or something like that. And so he's got now 6'9".
Right. Touching the ceiling.
But I'm looking up at him, and I remember this. I'll never forget this moment. Okay, I was not intimidated whatsoever, and I just walked up to him with my New Yorkish attitude, and I was a little bit pompous because they were like the older guys, and we were the new guys. So we were like, we're new, and we're coming to replace. In my head, we're new. We're replacing you soon. It's like we're your replacements. So, and we had this attitude, and I walked up to him and I said, okay, I have a question for you with this little New Jersey attitude. I said, I'm a lead singer in a band here in Wisconsin. We're a big band. And we, we're going to be really big someday. So I just want to ask you, what is your suggestion? What do we need to do next to get to the next level? Well, he was so taken back by this because I had this little attitude. I wasn't saying, hey, I want your autograph. He could read in my eyes that I was saying, I'm about to replace you.
Mm. Right.
So he liked it. So you could see, because he used to be a teacher. I'll tell you later on down the road, we'll tell you some other time how that continued. Okay, but for now, this was the first meeting, right? He pulls me back literally like 2 feet, 3 feet, because he just want the rest of the crowd to kind of invade our turf space and stuff.
Right.
And he says to me, he goes, okay. And he's looking down at me like he's excited to know me and have somebody ask him a question that's more than like, hey, when did you write this song? Or when did you do this? And when did you do? I just looking up at him with my eyes just going, just tell me the answer. So if you know Gene, he just wants you to be direct and straight and no BS, no idolizing, just be strong. So that's his personality. And I just was. And I only found that out later on. Right? So he says, number one, I want you to be original. Think originality. Everything that you do has to be original. And I said, okay, he's looking down at me like this. And he goes, number two, I want you to think budget. Budget? What do you mean? He goes, you have to take notes of everything. Your band, you have to budget everything. Make sure that all your finances are in order. Make sure that you have, when you're touring, when you're doing everything, everything's got to be right. And I sort of understood that because Jeff, our keyboard player, was taking care of all that. And he would pull out this big accounting book and do all the work. So I understood that. And then he said, you have to learn the element of surprise. And I said, I looked up, what do you mean element of surprise? And then he went, blah! Just like that. I did it to you. Mm-hmm. And he scared the crap out of me. And the security was looking over, like, is everything okay? Is Gene okay?
Right.
But they just immediately went back to doing whatever they were doing. And he said, and I said, I get it. He goes, and he just stared at me, waited for it to go. Element of surprise. And then I started thinking, oh, of course, when he's on stage, he's doing all these antics, and he's doing the fire pods and all kind, and he's surprising everybody. So I took that advice, and then he goes, and the last but least, and he put his hands together. Look out, Zach, I'm coming your way. And he said, he just was zeroing down on me, like he was like just this big mentor that just was like, you have to understand this. And he goes, you have to think big. Sorry. And I was okay. And he goes, again, you have to think big. Big. And he just impressed upon me that I had to big, right? So from that, I took that home with me. I said, thank you, and shook hands, and he just went like that. And I go, okay, bye. I was in Miami or Florida that late where we're touring a lot. And then we were down in Florida, and the band broke up. So I was kind of stranded. I was like, well, where am I going to go? I can either go to LA and try to hook up with a band out there, or I'm going to go to New York. Right. And of course, I'm saying, well, what would Gene do? And Gene said, think big, Big Apple. Oh, Big Apple, of course. Now, I lived in New Jersey, only 25 miles outside of New York, but I didn't want to go back home with my tail between my legs. The band broke up. I wanted to go to New York City, and that's what I did. I just went into New York City, and wouldn't you know it, 8 months, 9 months later, I joined a band that was with the guitar player, Steve Cornell, who was the guitar player in Wicked Lester, which was the predecessor of Kiss. Steve was playing with Gene since he was 13 years old. Mm. And Gene learned how to play the bass because of Steve inviting him into the band, saying, we need a bass player. And Gene said, I'll learn the bass. And there's a whole story behind it. Right. Someday I'll see if I can get you that interview. So they went down and they got him the bass. It was a $49 bass, as story is told. And they started a band called Wicked Lester. They played together, and then eventually they started Wicked Lester, where Steve had run into, years later, Paul Stanley, Stan Eisen, and said, hey, we're starting a band. We need a guy like you that can sing and front the band, because Gene and I can't really sing that well. Mm. I can't sing and Gene's okay, but we need a front guy. So that's how that band. But that's a whole other story. But I just want to tell you that we rehearsed for 2 months in a loft down in downtown New York City. It was a loft that Steve had worked in during the daytime. He was a graphic artist. So that was his day gig. And at night, our band, we came in and we played and rehearsed. So wouldn't you know, he says, okay, Gene and Paul are coming to see us tonight because we need a manager and we want to be managed by Bill. We want maybe to see if we can get a management company behind us, which was Bill Coyne Management. So I was like, oh my God, this is really embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Because he's going to come in. I hope he doesn't recognize me, because 9 months ago, I was this little cover band kid playing, 18. Now I'm 19. My birthday. So I'm not, but now I'm 19 and I'm co-writing all these songs, and we're not doing covers, and we're not in Wisconsin, but I'm with these guys, and these guys are all, writers. There's one guy who was writer for Lieber and Krebs, which is Aerosmith's management. Another, he had written some hit records, and of course Steve had all the gold records. And another guy, Alan Allen, was a drummer, and he had played on a song called Sha Na 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 Hey Hey. So I was like the baby again of the band. So he tells me this, and I'm like, ooh. So I had put up, pulled a Billboard magazine. I pulled out the top 100 list, and I pasted up, and I pasted stuff on the walls. And it was funny because the guy said, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Well, this is just for motivation." I had done this a week before, right?
Right.
And I just said it's it's just good to have music and things and charts and stuff like that. Gene comes walking in with Paul, and they're wearing these long black jackets, like leather down to here.
Mm.
I was not intimidated. They were tall, but not as tall, because they weren't wearing heels.
Right.
So they were pretty tall. So Gene was 6'3", he was about up to here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 5'10", or some 5'9", 5'10", so he's about here. So then he comes in, shake hands, and I'm looking up at him, and he's not recognizing me. I look a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, he's not recognizing me. Good. And first thing he does is he walks over to the charts, and he's reading the charts, and all the guys are looking over at me like, and there's Gene like going through the charts, and then Paul goes over, and I'm like this, like,
Oh my God.
yeah. So it's time to play. So they wanted to come and watch our show,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. And they set up 2 metal chairs, the metal fold chairs, about, I want to say 8 to 10 feet in front of me. And they sat down with their long, and their coats were hitting the ground. And we did our 35-minute show, one song after the next, because we were very well rehearsed. And they did not take their eyes off of the band or me. They didn't have cell phones, so they weren't like doing this. They weren't like talking to each other, just like this.
Totally focused.
And that's all I could see for like 35 minutes, is both of them staring up at me and whoever was taking the lead at the moment. And they just stared, and they just watched, and they watched. And they were very impressed, because that band was called Lover. And that band was a really great band. That we had all kinds of great guitar licks, and the songwriting was really good. And I knew they were impressed with the vocals. I'm a seasoned singer by this time. I'm 19 years old.
Right.
And we had gotten offers from RCA, like right after that. We turned it down. We turned, RCA down, and then we started doing very well in New York City. We became the top draw in a place called Max's Kansas City. It was a big place during that time. We would have sold out shows. But what I'm trying to get at is that then Gene would and Paul come down to most shows that we were playing, and they were fans. Yeah. So I can honestly say that Gene and Paul from Kiss have been to more shows, my shows, than I have been to theirs.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and they would show up. And then we started getting press about that, because we didn't understand the power of press. But there were a lot of people talking, and then more people would show up, and people were coming to see if they could see, the guys from Kiss hanging out and stuff. We had showcased for Bill Aucoin, Lieber and Krebs management. We ended up signing with Boston's management
Wow.
at the time, which was Castle Hill. Instead, we probably should have signed with Liam Krebs. Krebs managed Aerosmith, AC/DC, Def Leppard. I'm friends with I'm friends with them now. And then later on, years later, Bill was my manager from the point. So, okay.
Who was in charge of that decision to pick or choose which label?
Not me.
Okay.
Not me. And I wouldn't have gone with.
I almost got him.
Not me, because I wished I had known back then.
Yeah. Because you were the young buck in the group.
I was 19 years old.
Right.
By that time, it was like 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a regrettable moment or just a moment that?
Yes, because if we had signed with a coin management, we would have been with all the the top acts, Billy Idol. We would have been with Billy Squire. Billy came from a band called Piper, and they separated him and just said, "No, we're dropping." And same thing with Billy Idol. Billy Idol was with a band called Onion, I think, or something. And Bill told me, because Bill was managing me, he goes, Billy Idol didn't even know that the label was dropping. They had a small label, because he didn't even know that they were dropping the band. I had to go to London and sit with him and talk to him, say, I want to manage the band, and I want to manage you. I'm pulling you from the band. Billy Idol was like, no, I'm not leaving my band. And Bill O'Coin said to him, you really might not have much of a choice. And he was like, what do you mean? He goes, you're going to find out. And he found out that the band was being dropped by the label.
Right.
And then he connected with Bill, and Bill said, okay, now I'm going to manage you. That's how it
Rest
goes.
is history.
That's what Bill told me.
Sure.
Now, Billy, you're watching this. This is what I was told by Bill. Your manager, my manager. Okay.
Right.
And that was it.
So moving
just so much more.
Yeah. No, I'm sure.
Again, to tell you, the mistakes. Oh my God.
If we were Netflix, we'd be having episodes. Okay. So moving on. All right. So let's go to, well, we can go in any area you want to go into. I guess I want to scoot ahead back to Nashville for a little bit. What you came here, you found out it connected with you, you connected with it, that kind of thing, which hence is why we're here today. You started, and I'm fast forwarding to present day just for a moment, because I know that we're in green screen studios, and if you can't see it, but the background is actually that fluorescent green, like you've seen in the movies and things like that. They've got it painted wall to wall, isn't it? And it's amazing, because that's why you're seeing the backdrop that we have of the Nash Talk logo. And it's I'm sure it's going to serve its purpose because you guys have just opened this recently, right? And you're still in the process of finishing it up. Yeah. So what is the let's shift away from you for a moment, because I know you guys are going to, you guys perform here. I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, and you can connect with the information on the bottom there, and then you started a new business. You've got it going on the bottom, musicbizqr.com, like it's in QR code / the Danny Nova band, and which is, you're part of the band, right, Zach? Bass player and driver of the Winnebago. And but like what did you come up with? Why did you come up with Green Screen Studios? I mean, Dark Horse is right down the street, right? And I know Baird Records is right around. So now you're like into the deep. Because I remember a couple of years ago you were telling me how like the Music Row near Division is in Midtown area is kind of not as. This has become kind of the newer.
This is new Music Row.
Yeah, this is the new Music Row. Okay, I remember you told me that a couple of years ago. See, I listened to him, and we were driving up here a couple of years ago, and I came over here, and this wasn't Green Screen Studios yet, but then you came up with this idea. You mentioned it to me several months ago, and then it became this process. But I know that you're going back and forth to California. You were you were managing the band The Sweet, the legendary 70s band, still on tour after 50 plus years.
No, I was just an executive producer and co-manager.
Okay, let me get that
sort
right.
of advisor, co-manager.
Okay, there you go.
Still am, but
yeah.
not
Okay.
in the big.
How's that going, by the way?
It's going, but I'm not. I'm tied up with the Danny Nova band now.
Yeah.
I literally put the Danny Nova band on hold 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to just really go in at it with those guys 100%.
Right.
And then the lead singer left, or was going to leave, so I started learning the material. I knew the material anyway, but so I started thinking that, well, maybe
You'll replace.
Yeah, or just fill in.
Or whatever,
I didn't want
right.
to really give up my Danny Nova band material.
Mhm.
So it was sort of, so we did one concert, and after that concert, I just realized that I just don't want to do anybody else's songs.
It wasn't the fit like Nashville was to you, right?
We were up in Chicago. We did the concert up there. It was a great concert. I loved being on stage with those guys. I loved being on stage. But I just felt like, as an artist and as a songwriter, that I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want
Your
to
material.
spend any,
Right.
So we didn't, Patrick eventually did leave the band, and then I say we because I'm still with the Sweet, but not in the capacity of a singer, within the capacity of an executive producer type, right? And advisor and everything. So we have a new singer as of maybe 6 months ago, and he plays with Steve from Guns N' Roses, the drummer.
Oh yeah.
And his name is Ari, and his last name Kamen.
Right.
And he's great. He's from Brazil. I love him. We just hang out. We do some tours with the Sweet. Jack and I.
Right.
Or playing with the Sweet up in New England and stuff. So it was great.
So you guys open up basically.
Yeah, support.
Yeah. Warms up the crowd and gets them going.
Yeah, and then afterwards we're all friends, so we're all hanging on our.
That's beautiful.
Motor coach, and Artie and I decided that he had silver shoes on and very similar to mine. I went out in the back, got my silver boots on, put them on, and we came out and we started taking pictures. Everybody's laughing.
Right. Well,
he's a great singer. They just released their new single with Ari on it. I'm giving them a plug.
Go ahead.
It was released yesterday.
The Sweet?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her.
You haven't talked to her. Yeah. It was released yesterday, and it's called Sweet Dreams.
Wow.
And the video is really awesome.
It's almost eponymous.
Everybody can look it up. It's a great song. I loved it. And Ari's singing on it. And now here's the thing.
Right. Give it to us.
The original bass player for the Sweet, the founder and original member, died 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
But this was a track that he wrote. He wrote the song and he played bass on it. It was recorded back then before he died. And he's singing most of the backgrounds. So what they did was they said, well, we're going to take, as in memory of Steve Priest, we're going to record and dub over our parts.
Sure.
So that's what they did. They just dubbed the drums in, guitar parts and keyboards, and Ari is the singer. And now when you listen to that song, you're listening to Steve Priest, who wrote the song, playing bass and singing the backgrounds.
It's kind of like a Natalie Cole King Cole moment, right? Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that, it was written by Steve Priest, and so it's going to get a lot of attention.
Good. I wish them well. Yeah. You know that. I love those guys. So
you should listen to them.
Yeah, I actually saw them in Detroit. I was backstage with them, up there last year. Not even a year ago when I was with Richie and all them. So good. I love that. That's the beauty of Nash Talk for me, is like I get to hear the good stories. It's all the positive vibe and the stuff that this guy's a man of, no pun, many hats. He really is. I mean, since I knew him and we were talking, he used to have these boards everywhere, what he was going to do, It's, and some things, keep going and something, you never know. It's just like, I got to go, what's he doing today? You know, and I got to turn on Facebook, and then I see YouTube, and then we'll text each other once in a while, and which is how we came here today. And, I guess, so let me kind of mesh these things together, especially with green screen studios. I'm pointing to the walls again. You can't see that from me. But it's really cool. So what inspired you with that concept real quick?
Okay.
Please say that.
I do
Please
that.
tell me
I
that.
love talking about things in the past and stories and how,
because you're so
happen.
old fashioned. You're like,
I just
he's
love
a throwback, but yet he's incorporating QR, and it's like a weird anomaly. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the other people in the back, and it's like, but it really is. It's like you would never anticipate, because I know that you're not a big proponent of AI, for example. I know you're not. I've read your posts, so I've whatever. But yet you're embracing
AI music,
huh? AI music, right? Can I ask you real quick before you jump into the green screen QR thing? Like I said, in fact, I'm going to skip my other meeting now. But here's the deal. What makes you embrace technology, and then on this one have a discord of something that's coming out like AI? Just give me a quick synopsis on that. Your opinion on that.
It's because as a songwriter.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously my fellow songwriters would agree with this. The ones that are proud of their work.
Sure, absolutely.
It's a craft.
Right.
And we spend a lot of time on it, many, many years, being crafty songwriters.
Right.
And the true artists, the true songwriters, the ones that look at it as an art form, we just get it from the sphere above. That's where we pull all of our creativity.
Right.
And as Chris Christopherson said in a songwriters round that I happened to be at, with Lou Reed sitting next to him and Suzanne Vega sitting next to him, and then Johnson, who wrote Papa's was a Rolling Stone, sitting next to her, and they all concurred one thing. And I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm hearing them speak my language, saying the same thing that I had been thinking all those years, but thought that I was like a little crazy. And Chris said, I don't take credit for the songs that I write. Yes, I'm the one who's the middle person, the transponder, if you want to call it, right? But I get them from this creative sphere, and it comes down into me, and I'm the messenger.
Okay.
And they all looked at each other, and they were just all shaking. Yes, that's the way it is for me too.
Right.
Lou Reed, great, And the same thing with Suzanne Vega. They're all sitting there just going like this. And I'm in the audience going, this is at the Bottom Line in New York. And I think Vince Scelsa was the host. He's a famous DJ in New York. And I'm going, yes, that's it. That was me. And I'm sure other people in the audience were thinking the same thing.
Right.
So, where was I?
Yeah, it was about just your feeling about the
AI. Yeah.
AI,
Okay.
right.
So we take it very personal. It's very, very personal.
Sure.
It's like writing a love letter to somebody that you really love.
Mm-hmm.
That could be sitting in the room with you right now, but you don't ask AI to write you a love letter. I'm sorry, it just doesn't feel right. Okay. So
what would you say to the younger generation?
Yourself,
right?
You write it yourself, and it's like, so writing a song.
Right.
I'm getting emotional. Writing a song is like, it's like writing a love letter or about something that's very important to me. Whether it's about civilization or a certain experience that I had, it's a very important experience for me. So I'm not going to ask AI to write a letter to my family member, to somebody that I love. Are you kidding?
The reason I throw that at you is because when I was down here 3 years ago, and I'm a computer guy, I love the technology like anybody else, probably more so like you. And you'd be the last on my list when I first got down here, thinking you were going to do this. To be honest with you, that's just me. So I'm really impressed. But and so you're really engaged in it. But I guess because now that a year ago, let's be fair to me and you, I'm usually like this stuff just came out of nowhere. I know it's been in the works for a long time, but it wasn't even in my sights. So I wonder how you look at it, because the audiences are going to get younger and younger as we get older and older. And when you get older, the audiences
Not me.
get
Okay.
small. I know you found the fountain of youth. What was that? Don Quixote or what was that? Ponce de Leon. Which one was it? Anybody know? Anybody? Okay, we'll have to look that up. Time Traveler. All right, H.G. Wells kind of stuff. But no, but for the guys that are getting into that next generation, where the audiences are going to get smaller, because the younger generations are looking for that one great hit and then 10 minutes later forget about it. They're not going to be the Freebird. They're not going to be the Hey Jude. They're not going to be the Chris Christopherson kind of stuff. So it's kind of a weird stratus. It's like a multiverse, I think, that's going to happen as far as what I see. And I think you're embracing some of it with the technologies, but I do agree with you. I think that, yeah, I mean, song has to come from the heart and the mind, and however you can put it down there and put it out there, that's fine too. Okay, so now go back into the other question that sparked this one was the green screen. What is your intention of the green screen studio that makes it and sets it apart from all the other studios in the area in the new Music Row?
Okay.
Fair?
Good question.
Okay, I know.
Zach and I, a long time ago,
Bass player.
We got together, and it was under the premise, and this is why we just started to gel together, because we are of like mind, that I would not going to do covers. Now, I have done them when I first started.
You told me this.
Then all original. Then 10 years ago, when after Carnegie Hall,
He does a great job.
I started doing some covers, and I started burning out and doing covers. Half the show was like covers because I wanted to work. So I was touring all over, but venues and bars and club owners, not so much bars, but clubs, they were all like, well, you got to do some covers. And I was like, yeah, all right. So when you want to work and you're doing three sets a night, you do half and half. I was fortunate to do half and half. So many other acts weren't even allowed to do that, but it burnt me out. And I just started getting, getting immediate gratification on some other artist's work. And I felt guilty about that. So I decided I wasn't going to do it anymore. So I stopped playing for almost a year.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so burnt out from playing cover
I can't see
gigs.
that.
Yeah.
I can't see you giving up that for anything.
What happens, and it's happening down on Broadway this very minute, when you are playing 4 or 5 nights a week and you're doing somebody else's music, cover music, right? You become like this machine. And I'm not going to name songs, but it's like that song. And then somebody says, oh, do this song. And it's like $20. They'll play this and play that and all that stuff. I talk to these guys all the time. A lot of them are my friends.
I see that.
That play downtown, and they're in this cycle, and they're making decent money. They're making between $300 and $500 a day or night,
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad for a guy or girl who's just playing cover music each, right? So they're just like hired guns. So they're happy to make that $500, right? But what happens, and I've seen it over and over, I've been here for 12 years. The people I knew 12 years ago that were playing on Broadway, not one of them is there anymore. Not one. They burn out within 2 years, sometimes a year. They no longer want to play cover music. They either give up music completely and they just go get jobs somewhere. They move out of town, and that's usually what ends up happening. So I'm just letting you know that there's a reason why Zach and I really hit it off. because Zach wasn't like, oh, I need to play 5 nights a week. I need to be, this person that's going to be playing every night downtown and all that stuff. He said to me, I'm not interested in playing covers. And I said, great. That's where we're going to meet up on the same level. And then he I'm not going to say where he works because that's advertising, but he gets up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Is it 4 o'clock in the morning?
4 o'clock every day again.
Like 6 days a week, sometimes 5, 6 days a week. And he's on the job, working hard, okay? Being out there with, okay? And till 2:30 in the afternoon. And I give him so much credit for that, because then he comes to the studio and he's here at like 3 o'clock and he goes to his car and he just sits there and decompresses for a half hour, and then he comes in and then he's playing music here, and he works here with us until 6, 7 o'clock at night, and then he goes home and goes to sleep. It's quite a chore. Okay, so we decided that after playing together and doing rehearsals and stuff, that we wanted to play in front of audiences, of course, but we didn't have the release of our upcoming record, which is I'm going to plug it after the rainfall. We didn't have it finished. Now it's finished. Our agent is like, well, we have to release it before I can start booking you on tours. But we still play with the suite, and we're going to be playing some other big shows here and there. We were supposed to play Cannery Hall over here with the suite, and that was back in September, but that show got canceled for whatever reason. We were like, okay, if we can't do live shows, it's important for us to have content, for us still to feel like we're playing in front of live audiences. So the idea of Green Screen Studios came last year, also like in April or something. Oh, it came before that, like a year and a half ago, that I wanted to have a Green Screen Studio so that I could just play and do content and just create content. So we started it in April, May. We finished it, we launched in September, Green Screen Studios. And we've been creating videos here so that we could stay, because we have a YouTube channel that has really grown. We launched it September 16th last year, 2025. And inside of 4 or 5 months, we started with 3 videos on our launch date, and then within a month it started to take off. So, and right now we're up to 30,000 subscribers. Wow. Which is good.
It's a great number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a newbie, right?
Sure.
And we have 2.5 million views. So we release a video every week. On a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, we premiere a video. And the only way we can really do that is with like Green Screen Studios, so that we're giving our audience something to really look at in a bigger way than just playing in our kitchen, because I did that before too, and we can have fun with it. So it's about content. So that's the answer. And then, yeah.
So you think the new audience for you, and you can slow me down whenever, because I like the idea. I mean, that's.
Sorry.
Oh, all right. Okay. So that's fine, because we're gonna get down to the, the final phase here. But I think what you're trying to say is that your audience that you guys are trying to create with the Green Screen Studios in Nashville right now is more engaging via the internet, like YouTube. Online streaming is kind of the new mecca for you guys, but based out of Nashville. So it's the old traditional formidable landscape of Nashville meets the high-tech world of the internet via the world. So you've got a global audience 24/7 is what you're trying to, right?
Watch my head.
All right, that's for people to see you at the show and then have a memory to take with them.
Right, and then you can also loop it, so it's like when people are playing, even if they have a great show of originals and or covers, primarily covers down at Broadway, correct?
Yep.
And so it's like once played in one eye, out the other, so to speak, out of sight, out of mind. That's how I see it. And I've been in the nightclubs forever and ever and ever. And I'm saying, why aren't they recording this stuff? I know there's legalities with royalties and things like that. But yeah. But I see people that are playing cover bands using their phone and uploading live to Instagram at Kid Rock or Tootsie's or pick all of them, because most of those performers are 30 and under. I'm not saying you don't have people that are more advanced, but then usually they're storytellers doing it for a lot less money to a tiny audience of 20 people or less at I'm not going to say the places, but they're 7 nights a week right around kind of things. And it's just basically a microphone and an acoustic guitar, once in a while a keyboard or something like that. So basically you have stripped it down without the production of the background music and vocals. It's just you two guys singing right now. Now, having that said, because I know some of the songs you've written a long time ago, and I'm sure you're creating new ones because I saw you just starting to. So yeah, and that's what I think most musicians do. I think they have musicians from years ago they never finished to brand new music. Okay, I got this idea. I just got I got out of the bathroom and I just heard the water running. And, now I got this idea. So that's the essence of songwriting. I know that part. But having that said, I think that that when I'm gathering from you guys, it's giving you more liberation, freedom, and creative control, and the unknowing of that. I call it the multiverse, or you call it the stratosphere or the atmosphere that you reach from to create it. But you also want to know that your audience can perpetually see your music anytime, day or night, anywhere, day and night. And the new mecca is your phone, your iPhone, your smartphone, whatever. Whatever. I mean, most people are connecting to their TVs now with that. So your job is to present a quality composition, if you will. Now, do you guys anticipate if all of a sudden there's a bigger audience, will you guys build on the songs will you go into studio with that, or will you just leave them as is? Are you comfortable with where they're at right now?
Do you want to say
Either
something?
I mean, some of the songs that we're putting out on our YouTube are already going to be full band versions on our upcoming album after the rainfall. It's released. Some of them we haven't recorded full banded yet. But obviously that's our point.
Yeah.
We just want, we want to get those melodies stuck in your head. We want the audience to fall in love with us. What's the easiest way to do that? Go right to the thing that everybody's in their pocket on, anytime you get 2 seconds or any sort of free time, you're right there on your phone.
I guess
that's the easiest way to reach an audience.
I think you're right. What just popped in my head is that, do you have people maybe message you or make comments, and does that trigger hey, does it inspire you to build on that song or come up with other songs, or does the audience fuel you in any way, shape, or form? Have you had that connection yet? I know this is new, so maybe that hasn't.
Well,
but if it did, would it?
It's all about that.
Can they contribute? God, I love that. Okay,
it's fuel for us. It's fuel. I mean, honestly, it's fuel for us. For entertainers, there's a difference between an artist who stays in his room and creates music and records it and just plays it for himself, right? Or an artist that,
sure,
same thing. Once you step over that line and say, I want to bring it to the world and be an entertainer, right? Mm-hmm. And you get off on that communication with the audience, it changes everything. And everybody who's in the business, who's still in the business, mm-hmm. who doesn't have to do it for money, and that's the worst thing to do it for, honestly.
I've heard that.
It's the worst thing. I never did it for money. It was when I was 7 years old, I didn't know about that part, okay? But for the artists who do it for the love of the communication and the creativity, mm-hmm. that's everything, is your audience. And the ones who just have gone away, maybe they were the ones that just did it for the money, mm-hmm. or maybe they just got burnt out, because the road can burn you out too, or some of the bad situations. But yeah, it's all about connecting with them and them just saying, I love that cut, or this song is, this song saved my life. I've had that, a couple of times.
That's really what every musician deep down wants. You want that connection with your audience. Because if you truly love music, you want your audience to experience the same thing that you're doing, that you do when you listen to your favorite bands or your favorite songs, and you hear that little one part that nobody else hears. You love if your audience would point that out to you, because that means they're connecting with you on the same level.
So let me ask.
The word love.
Yeah, I think
it's a love affair with your audience. It truly is.
So this begs a question that I'm coming up with now. Instead of having somebody picking and choosing AI, like you guys could be like the purveyors of, instead of just the audience giving you that feedback and adulation of, hey, that was great, I loved it, you made me cry, or I'm going to get married, or something, whatever, have a baby, whatever, whatever inspires the song, right? But would you think of like a new concept of, which is pretty simple, of having like the audience like going, hey, I don't have any goal to be a singer songwriter, but I think I can I add something to a song? Like they're also like, it's like an inclusionary. Now you're getting authentic intelligence, right? Where they're helping you build the song. So now you've got the audience that's no longer just, watching you, but they're also kind of, would you ever entertain that idea of, not all your songs, I mean, sure, some of them are carved in stone and that's my baby and you can't touch it, right? But I mean, would there ever be an opportunity to come up with a song with that you're like kind of half in the middle of, that you have been just, it's been lingering, and then one day you guys just say, hey, we're gonna play this one song we just can't finish, and then all of a sudden, hey, how about you guys, the 30,000 plus people, and you got couple people, hey, what if you change that chord, or what if you add this, or what if you add that? Would you ever consider that, or is that taboo at the moment?
One of my sayings is an old saying from probably thousands of years ago, is never say never.
Okay.
But live in the moment. Okay. Well, I added that part.
Yeah, right. So it's wisdom. Keep going.
And it's just like, and let's talk about airplanes. Okay. You've got the pilot, and then you've got the skydivers. The skydivers are in the plane, and they're the ones that jump out of the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the pilot, who I know a pilot that says to me, and he's a private pilot, corporate pilot, right? And we talked about this just the other day.
Right.
And skydiving came up because somebody was in the room and said, did you ever skydive? What do you think about that? And he goes, nope. And she said, well, would you? And he goes, no, I'll never jump out of a plane. And he's a pilot. Mm-hmm. He's in the same world, but that's just something that he said. Now, he may believe the same way that I think, or think the same way that I think, and that's a never say never. But at this very moment, he's a senior pilot and he's not jumping out of a plane. So I'm going to say to that question, it's not on my agenda.
Okay, fair enough. How about you?
For me, I'm not really a great songwriter yet, to be honest. I'm still just starting. I'm more of a instrumental creative type, sort of like, give me the box, put me the parameters of where we go, and then I'll figure out something inside the box.
Yeah.
I haven't fully channeled the realm that these guys have.
We just started writing our first song together after all these years, after almost 6 years.
The newbie that he mentioned earlier when he was in the stories, that's me. I'm still the guy who was playing bass in his room, like 2-3 years ago, and now I'm here. So just want to say to anybody out there, if you don't believe in yourself, always believe in yourself, because you don't know what you can achieve. So I've been through some stuff. Maybe one day I can get an interview on here and I can tell you my story too. But just everybody out there,
keep speaking.
Everybody out there, just believe in yourself, because you never know what you can achieve if you believe in yourself in here.
Yeah, I don't think dreams ever end. I don't think they, either, even if they're fully accomplished, you can always add to it. And that's why, I guess that was a fair question why I asked, because Green Screen Studios is not, there's a million studios out of people's houses and on buildings. That's how Music Row was formed. It was all houses. I'm like, where's the studio? They go, that house, that house, that house. And then it became lawyers' houses after that, right? Downtown, and then they moved out here. So, but they were doing the same thing, and that's going to be one of my last questions to you, because you're cut from such an older cloth, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's how most of the people down here are. Nashville is still stuck in that time warp. It's not engaging the technologies as you're starting to put forth. They really aren't. It's like you said, I go there, I'm like, they don't have cameras, they don't have this, they don't have this, there's things that I think that they're really inept of, and it's not allowing people to, and I'm going to probably get chastised for saying this, and I don't really care, but that's what's nice about having your own podcast, is that, but because, him and I have had many conversations, like along with other people, and I go, well, how are these people? I don't think they leave the middle of Wisconsin or Detroit or another part of the world to come to Nashville.
Indiana,
right? I love Indiana. What part?
Terre Haute,
Indiana.
Mars.
All right, there you go. I didn't know Hoosiers or something. What happened just recently? Some Indiana. Anyway,
Pacers.
Great state.
Shut up, Pacers.
Great state. I love it. I'm always in India. I've been through Fort Wayne, everywhere. But anyway, where I was going with this, it was that I think your audience home with you. You could play Music Row, or not Music Row, Broadway or Division Street, and like, yeah, I'm playing this, and then nobody's getting asked, for autographs. Very few record deals are being produced by playing every night at those places, especially playing an old Def Leppard song or Sweet Home Alabama. Sorry, now, and this is not to to besmirch those groups, because I don't think they had any.
It's just true.
It's just
I don't think any.
Separate the creativity between each person. You can't notice somebody playing anything different.
No, it's like, okay,
you have to stick so original to what people recognize.
You're right about that, and I think that you got to create an opportunity, if not for others, yourself, that says, look, I'm here. I really want to be authentic with this. However, if you having this audience, when you leave any one of those bars, I don't care if I'm there spending top dollar watching you play, I think you're great. I leave there, I never see you again. You never see me again. With this, you have them for life. They subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way, right? On the YouTube channel, right?
Danny Nova Band TV.
Say that again.
Danny Nova Band TV on YouTube.
Don't forget the.
Don't forget the.
Like Danny Nova.
That's why I'm the bass player.
That's right. And the social media. So, and I think that's what's really nice about what you guys are trying to do, because it's going to allow you to keep and contain your audience and build on that. And I think that's going to be something I'm surprised more people aren't doing it the way, especially downtown. And I, which is only a couple miles from here, right? Yeah. And I think that when you do stuff like that, realizing all his years and years of experience in playing one of the most famous stages in the planet, that's a lot.
Carnegie Hall, if you just
Carnegie Hall, yeah, there you go. You could say it again. I told him, I said, if I ever not say something or don't repeat it, and it's worth repeating, shout it out. It's your show.
That was a great show. Someday we'll do another interview on that.
We're gonna do, yeah. And like I said, we're just gonna hit this as much as, because we are friends. And I told everybody that I've interviewed, I says, as time, technology, everything, I go, we can do it anywhere. We can do it remotely. I can be in anywhere. He can be in another room. We can do it. And as long as he feels like, oh, I got one more thing to tell you. Oh, or hey, we're about to launch this. I want him to succeed. If I can help bring 100 people his way, I'm going to do it. If it's 1,000 people, 10 people, and they become devoted fans, because you can have 1,000 fans down here and they're not going to, and you got to hope that they're going to QR their tips to you. Right. And most people won't. I want you to have that rock solid, enthusiasm, and learn from him, because this guy's he's like an encyclopedia. He's the Wikipedia. He's all the above, right? That's why I've been waiting to, interview him for a long time. And it wasn't because I was at his place for 2 months and I was thinking about doing it, but he had so many different things going on, like you always do. And I think that this is really going to turn into something. Mikhail back there, the executive producer who I met at Danny's place 3 years ago, he was the one who kept telling me, he goes, you should do what Danny's doing, you should do what Danny's doing, this is what Danny's doing. And then in my other year, I got you telling me what you're doing. So I was kind of coming at both sides. And I'm glad you're part of it, because I see the videos are starting to, proliferate on top of, one and another. And then, you don't have a couple hundred views. You got thousands of views, 100,000, hundreds of thousands of views per video. That's in such a short amount of time. My hat's off to you if I had, right? One time he let me wear one of his hats. I felt I did. I wore one of his hats.
What were you gonna say?
We actually came together the same way that you guys did. I actually didn't live at the River House. I lived at one of his other locations for about a year.
That's a great connection.
We never played together. We never really did anything. I think I went over there and jammed with him maybe like one time. And I was always texting him like, hey, like, this is my dream. I want to do this. I want to play music. Like everything that I said earlier. I want to have the connection with the audience. Like, I'm not in it to be, super famous or get a bunch of money or anything like that. Like, make a living, sure, but I'm not chasing fame. I'm chasing the passion and the feeling that music gave me growing up and still does.
Yeah.
And I hit him up,
Good
and
for you.
eventually, he's just like, all right, come over, let's try it out. And, it just meshed, and the chemistry started working right, and, everything started aligning, and, a year and a half, 2 years later, here we are. So
I'll never forget, he had this bass, and he's a lefty, and it had different colored, different colors. He's a big fan of Paul McCartney's too, and he sings, and he had different colored strings on his bass, and that was probably one of the first times I actually saw it live. I'd seen it in ads and things of that sort, but I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, okay, he's thinking out of the box. That's okay, that's good,
Oh, that's
and
you.
And then he started playing, and then I said, oh, he can actually play. This is good, And then one thing led to another. Eventually, we got together and started playing, jamming a little bit more, and then I realized, I said, he's like right on top of the songs. And I gave him a whole list of songs. I know we're supposed to cut before this, but I'm just telling you what happened. I gave him a list of songs, and I said, all right, these are the songs. And I gave him, this is where you get my songs from, and blah, blah, blah. And the last thing I expected was him to come to the next play date or whatever, and I'm gonna call it a play date, and actually know this freaking songs. I'm not saying effing song, I'm saying freaking. So I was just like, are you kidding me? He actually freaking a musician that like is coming prepared with not just like 1 or 2 or 3 songs, but he knew like 10, 11, I don't even remember.
Really? Wow.
I was blown away.
Jeez.
a lot of time playing in the apartment, folks.
And let me tell you, I was just blown. I was like, wow, I could do a show with this guy right now, So I said, you know what? A for effort, man. And I didn't tell him what to play. He just knew instinctively. And then I remember our first vocal rehearsal. You know how vocal rehearsals go. It's like, okay, here we go. You play this. I'm going to sing the lead, and you're going to sing the third or the fifth or whatever, and we're gonna do harmonies, and you have to go through. No, don't sing that there. No, don't sing that there. And it's grueling for an artist to take on somebody new who's actually going to sing with them. But he had a background that gave me confidence. And you want to know what it was? He sang in a barbershop quartet.
Tenor 1.
And
really?
When you sing in a barbershop quartet,
I've seen some.
If he's actually singing in a barbershop quartet, that he's going to find his note, and he's going to find different notes that you didn't expect, and things that he's going to do. And I was like, oh, there it is. And from that moment on, I've never told him what to sing or what lines to sing or what bass parts because the mentality of a barbershop quartet person, if you have to find your own place. If you don't, then you don't belong.
Only have a little bit of a box.
and that's
You
it.
don't want to interfere with the other three parts that are below you and also enter their
So he
box.
stays in his lane
So
with
you have to
that.
stay in your box.
And a lot of times I find him also doing, when we do live, he'll do a high part, and then he'll make this decision on his own that all of a sudden he'll drop to a lower part because it needs that lower part instead of a higher part. At the moment it needs a lower part, so he changes it up. So if anybody listens to all of our YouTube videos, you'll listen to him all of a sudden skip to another part. Like you'll be like, wait, but it works. And it's great because it's getting the job done. And his bass playing, I never saw a bass player play like he plays.
You know, for you to
Bass players are usually like this.
right,
Ding, 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 ding,
Strum
ding,
it.
ding, 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 right?
Right.
Most bass players, that's the traditional bass player. It came from the upright bass. You hear boom, 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 boom. But his fingers are like this. They're very fluid. And there's no actual rhyme or reason. He's playing the way he feels. And that's the way I play acoustic guitar. When I play acoustic guitar, I play with all my fingers.
you taught me that one time.
And I just, it goes. And I noticed that he does the same thing. And I'm like, you never know when he's going to use his pinky or something, to hit a note. Like it gives him the connection to the soul of the song. So there's no like, I got to play this finger only, do, 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 or these two, ding, 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 ding. He's all over. I love that about the way he plays. I didn't know if I was going to love it at first.
Yeah, I know you. I know if he doesn't like you, he'll let you know right on stage. I've seen it.
But sometimes I see things and I go, I don't know if I like that yet. And then all of a sudden I look a little closer. I'm like, that's really weird.
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, but so am I.
Right. Yeah.
And then it goes a little further and I'm like, okay, I'm open. I can open up to that.
So
And
there's
then
kids
when you have
going
this
on.
freaking, like, it's amazing that I'll tell you give you an example. I never call out the song ever. Well, if we're playing a concert and it's like we sort of have it set in stone a little bit, most of it,
Mhm.
right? Like, okay, this is our song list. I may change it, but when we are playing and we are like just playing, whether it's in front of people rehearsing or whatever, I never call out the song. You wanna know why? He instinctively knows by a few things what harmonica I'm putting on. If he is paying attention to that, sometimes you can't see. But if I'm taking out a harmonica, if I take out my A, he knows I'm going to play an E. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's, all he knows is that the next song is coming and that within the first 2 or 3 chords,
He's on it.
He's on it like
Bye.
like just like that. Or even sometimes the tap of my foot. He knows if I'm doing this, immediately calculation, it's going to be a slower song, of course.
Right.
But yeah, so it's amazing. So I never ever call out the song. I just play it and he's on it. He plays it, boom. And we've got like 35, 36, 40 songs or something.
Wow.
That we choose from, and I'll go from that. There's a list right on there if you see it.
Oh yeah, your set list kind of.
Yeah, and it's just like, and he can just grab onto any one of them, and that's it, done. So
Is it?
I just had to say that
Oh no, it's great. I'm
because
glad.
what that means to me is not just that he can do that or he knows the song. What it means to me is that he's connected with the music that I'm connecting with at that very moment in time. He's not connected only to me, but he's connected to the music that connects both of us. It's like, here's the connector. And then it's great. And I can change things and I can go different places. And a lot of times I make mistakes, He doesn't. Very rarely.
Very rarely.
Very
Not
rarely.
perfect.
Very rarely.
You gotta
And I'm
work
just
on
like,
that.
I know.
You
I
know,
know. I'm
and then
trying, practicing every day.
my excuse is because I look over and I'm like, okay, I know I made a mistake, but I'm playing 3, 4. I'm doing 4 things. I'm playing harmonica. I'm singing.
4
I'm playing
things.
my bass, my kick drums here, my tambourine is here, my guitar's here, and like I'm doing all these things.
Mr.
So
Bojangles.
don't get too cocky. I'm like, don't
And
get
then
too
I always
much.
tell him, well, I have to sing too.
So he's doing 2 things, and so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm doing 5 things at the same time.
That's great.
So then I regain my superiority. No kidding. My status, though, I regain my status.
You said you have a new song, After the Rain.
After the rainfall.
After the Rainfall. Is that the new song that's coming
It's our
out?
new album.
A new album. Okay. Is there a song that goes, is a title song that goes with it, or
Not at the moment. We do not have a single yet.
how many songs are going to be on this album? Do you have that picked out yet?
Yes, 11, correct?
Do you have?
11
Are they
songs. Yes,
ready
the
to
album
go?
is completely mastered and everything's ready to go.
When did you guys master that?
California.
Oh, really?
California.
We didn't do it here.
What?
I know.
I'm
This is
asking
our
you a
producer
question.
said.
They don't know. Do you know? I don't know.
Our producers. in
Wasn't it Ventura or somewhere?
Yeah. He's a
See, I'm paying
David
attention.
Jenkins. He's like a great engineer.
Why did you choose Ventura, California, that studio versus anywhere here?
Well, Dave had come to work with me here in New Jersey. In Nashville, and I really liked his work. And what happened is Kenny Aronoff, the drummer that's playing on the album, the Kenny. Hi, Kenny. Love me some Kenny drums.
Fellow Hoosier.
Kenny Aronoff, I'm not going to drop names, but if anybody's interested who doesn't know, go ahead and Google it, okay? Yeah, he holds world records, but he and I hooked up years and years ago and said, I really love this record, because I had given him a copy, because I really love this record. And I had done some temporary program drums on it, and he goes, I want to play on the record. And I said, okay. So that passed, and then years later, we just never hooked up. And then all of a sudden, I said, hey, I got this other record that doesn't have drums on it, and that I recorded. And I said, well, so he sent it over, and he fell in love with it. He goes, I want to play drums on this. And I said, okay. And I said, where are we going to do it? And he's like, well, I have my own studio here in Studio City, California. And he goes, and I have this great engineer. And I say, okay. I said, well, Kenny, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're going to, you're the world-renowned rock drummer, or drummer in general. And I said, just whatever you want to do, but let's just do it.
Right.
And he pulled in Dave Jenkins as the engineer, and they recorded the drums there. And then Kenny always says to me, let's just do an album like where the whole band is in the room at the same time. I said, okay, we can do that, but right now this is what I have. So this record already had a bass on it, and I played the bass on it. And not that I'm not a great bass player, but it had bass on it, and I held down, the roots, we call it. And it had some percussion, and had a whole bunch of other stuff. And but it sounded so good with him, with my acoustic guitar and my vocal. I was just like, okay. And Dave said, let's get a real bass player on there. So then Kenny says, I have the perfect bass player. He plays with John Fogerty and I, because Kenny was playing John Fogerty. And his name is James Lomenzo. And I said, oh, okay, great. So, and James was with a bunch of bands. He's still with Megadeth. He plays with rock band Megadeth, and played with Ozzy, played with the Black Label Society, David Lee Roth Band, all that. So I said, okay, but there it was. Put the bass guitar parts down, and I said, "This is great." Dave and I communicated, of course. Sounded great, and then the album stayed vacant for a long time. But then, because I worked on another album, and then Doug Pettibone was recommended by Dave. Dave was engineering and producing. He says, "I want to produce this whole thing." And I said, "Okay, fine." So we can get into it some other time. But it went from there. So you have Doug Pettibone, who's renowned guitar player. I love Doug. Doug, I love you. You know that. And so he's on the album, the band album. And Lucinda Williams, he played with. Lucinda, John Mayer, he played with. Robert Plant, he's played with everybody, you know. And then one of my favorite keyboard players that I discovered later plays with Robbie, and I'm a Doors fan, you know that. Love the Doors. And Dave says to me, "I got the keyboard player from Robbie Krieger's band." I was like, "Whoa, what? Now we're talking," you know. I says, "Yeah, his name is Ed Roth." I'm like, "Yeah?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I wanna do the keyboards with Ed Roth. I think this would be great." And you know, since he plays all the Doors music and everything, he's playing with Robbie Krieger's playing all the Doors stuff, right? He's the guitar player. Robbie is for the Doors. So I'm like, that sounds great. And he's running the studio over there. So they record the album, and the wild part is one of the songs, which was Lady Blue. He calls me up, Dave. He says, "Guess what?" I was like, "What?" Because I'm a real big fan of Riders on the Storm. It's like one of my favorite songs, Riders on the Storm, right? Of all time. So he goes, "We're going to be playing the keyboard parts are the same exact Rhodes piano, the one that Ray Manzarek played on Riders on the Storm." I was like, "What?"
Really?
I was like, "Wow." He goes, "Yeah, it's in Robbie's studio." So they were doing the session, most of the session in Robbie Krieger's personal studio, where he had all of this memorabilia, but he had the keyboard that Ray played in the studio.
Wow.
So I was like, "Whoa, this is great," you know.
Say that again.
Yeah, whoa. So he calls me up after the session and he goes, "Well, some weird stuff happened." And I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "We plugged in the piano. And the first time this ever happened," and he goes, "it started to smoke, the piano for Riders on the Storm.
Yeah.
It started to smoke." And I'm like, "And?" He goes, "There was the exact same make, year, and model sitting right next to it." He says, "So he started playing on it, and he goes, what we did was we recorded it on that one."
Right.
And I was so bummed, but he said, "But it was sitting right next to it." And I'm like, I wonder if it was Jim Morrison or something going, "I don't know about this."
Right.
Because I'm a big Jim Morrison
I
and
know
Ray
that.
Manzarek, you know.
You do a great, when he sings Jim Morrison, it's just like, I think, remember, everyone was looking and goes, "That sounds just like Jim Morrison." He told me, you were channeling him. Like,
Yeah, I channeled him. And, but I was just so happy
Mhm.
to have that particular song, which is a really kind of bluesy, rocky song.
Right.
And you hear it at the end of the song. You can really hear those parts just floating down on
Wow.
that song. Yeah. And it's just like, it's almost as good as having the original keyboard.
Right.
But if he still has that keyboard, we're going back someday and doing another song on that keyboard.
Oh, of course.
You just have to pick the song.
Yeah. Roll the dice.
Gotta have it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. Well, here's where we're gonna come. We're coming in for a landing now. So what
It was a
did I
great
be?
flight. Great flight, man. It was
Great
great.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we're gonna do
No
more. We're gonna do
turbulence
more.
or
Listen,
anything. It was like-
you know, he's part. You know, he's
Smooth
kind of
flying.
he's part of the reason I do Nash stuff. You know, the reason I kind of go. You know what?
Oh, that's nice.
I came down here and I said, you know what? Well, I might as well start talking to some of these people, and I made a lot of friends out of it. I think I benefited in that way, you know how you talk about money? Because we all need money, right? But it's funny because it's like the friendships that I procured because of Nashville. Because I was thinking, I'm from Detroit, man. We're Detroit, everything. We got it all. And Motown, you name it. We got Bob. We got kids down here. But anyway, and I thought, well, I mean, I like Nashville. I can party like the best of them, but but it was always about the music as a writer and a DJ and everything else I've done. And I thought, well, you know what? But when we talk to the people, because people will always come up to me, and I told this to Danny. So people come up to me and say, well, I'm a really good talker, and I'll give you 10 minutes, maybe 15. I don't know. And like an hour and a half later, that even happened with Martin Motnick, who's a bass player. He goes, I guess, can we do it for an hour?
Say the name of the band.
Except, Balls to the Wall.
They're from Europe, and they're just
they've inspired some of the biggest bands.
And you met them at my
Europe. Oh yeah. Like, oh yeah, that's Accept and this and that. Even the kid that was singing from American Idol, he's the lead singer for the last 2 years. He sang with Jack Russell before he passed for Great White. It would celebrate that 30th anniversary of that fire on the 20th. And then Nate, and then he went to fill in for CJ Snare from Firehouse. CJ ended up passing last year, and now he's full time. Note for note. Nate. And I met him there. In fact, I got videos of you guys singing together.
Yeah.
So I was taking video the day I got there. So was Mikkel.
Small world here, man.
Okay. So, and we were just like, we didn't know it was going to happen, just like you didn't know it was going to happen. I was sitting there I'm going to just be, I had no idea what I was going to do with him or them or even this moment. But it's really been cool. And I think, like, at the very least, every time he posts something, not every single time because I don't always see it, but most of the time, you're one of the guys I sit there and I'll share it with if I see something cool and, like, whatever, this is cool. Because if it doesn't inspire or entertain somebody, then I won't put it up. But a lot of times I'll see it, I'm like, yeah, this is cool. And you're in a lot of those posts, so that it's really cool because I think that is technology changes and the audience desire and taste. The young people want 15 seconds on TikTok, where we had, all this. But when I was doing these interviews, I remember people telling me, like Martin was, as I was finishing, he said, I'll go an hour. And he was being super kind, nicest guy in the world. And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. You cut off at a half hour if you want. There's no egg timer to this. Almost 2 hours later, I'm going, Martin. He goes, man,
I'm like, when did we start?
Yeah, he goes, right. And the same with you. He goes, well, he told me a couple, he goes, 22 minutes is good. Didn't you say that?
You're going to have to cut this up.
Oh, right. Well, that's what's great.
How long has it been?
An hour and 47 minutes.
So you can cut it in 4.
Yeah.
Part
So,
one, part two,
but and that's exactly why, because a lot of it ends up on the cutting room floor. If you really want to get down to the nitty gritty and the sweet spots, or as they say, or whatever. But I really enjoyed this. I know that you guys have that album coming out, After the Rain Has Fallen, right? Did I say that correct?
After the Rain Falls.
After the Rain Falls. I'm thinking of that Sting song, So no, not to, because you're gonna probably don't get that right. Say it again.
After the Rain Falls.
Thank you very much, Zach. And then it's have about 11 songs you said that you have in works. Great. Now you're going to produce it. Is it produced already? Did you finish that in Ventura?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that right. Okay, I just want to make sure we did this right.
Mm-hmm.
And then where are you guys going to play next?
Right here.
Okay, so everything's right out of Green Screen Studios. Yeah. Now, are you renting this place or having people, or what?
It's a commercial building, and we're part.
Okay, so if you want to come here,
it's ours. Meaning this is our studio, and we have we occupy the front, which is
so the neighbors don't.
Well, what's happening is the front is occupied. There's 4 bedrooms,
mm-hmm.
and they're occupied by musicians
mm-hmm.
who come in to either work with us or, like right now, we have a pretty well-known photographer who's up for an Eddie. Is it an Eddie? EDDY? An Eddie Award. He's a live concert photographer.
Yeah, you've had some.
He's inside right now, and he shoots with us, and so he's on the ball. I'm not going to mention his name because he may not want me to mention his name.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway, so he's here, and we've had
shy guy.
Zach was renting that room years ago. It's the Jimi Hendrix room. So
I've seen the Jimi Hendrix room.
Yeah, so
I stayed in the Tom Petty
for
room.
A year.
It is.
That was over at the other location.
Yeah, I know.
So basically, I have all these rooms that I rent out preferably to musicians and
Uh-huh.
producers and videographers, photographers, people in the business.
He's the only one who vets people on Airbnb or whatever. It's like, do you like music? Because you have to like music, and you have to. It's like you got to go through this. Wait a minute, that's not on the requirement list, you know. I love this guy, man. And a big shout out to Mikhail Kiersey back there, Michael. We love you, man. You know, he's always in the back. He's always talking about everybody good, and he knows all the backgrounds. He's my Zach. Okay. And, you know, so yeah, it's a never ending friendship. It's building. And as we get better with the technology and things like that, we're going to embrace it, but we're going to also keep it grassrooted, right? We like it like that. So I enjoyed my time with you guys. We're going to keep going again and again as I come down, because I go back and forth.
Great.
And then I ultimately want to come down here for good. You know, that's my goal. And of course, you and I are always going to be, you know, what do you call it? Copacetic, kindred brothers, spirits, whatever. I have a lot of that down here. It's a great, that's the one thing, you know, like he said it, from New Jersey, Detroit, you know, Indiana, Oz. No, I'm kidding. Connecticut, right? So in the back, where are you from?
New York.
Land of Oz.
New York. Yeah, right. There you
New
go.
York.
I mean, but you know, people come here and it's like you don't know what to expect, and there's that stereotype that you think of that, well, I may not fit in, city boy, or you know, and you kind of just do, and then you don't want to leave, and then it's like every time I get in my car to go back, I'm like, ah, man, you know, it's like I don't care how much history, there's something about it here, because people, it's the creatives, the atmosphere isn't here, it's here. So that, but you got to navigate your way to find the real. Am I right?
Yeah.
Because there's some people that aren't as real as you think. And that goes for anywhere in life. But I guess
just some people come here because they see this as like the Sunset Strip of the '80s. You come here, you get the fame. You know.
Right. They think they're going to
it's not
click like that.
Sometimes, you know, you got to put in work. Nobody gets famous overnight. Nobody gets successful musicians overnight.
It rarely
You got to
happens.
put in the work.
It's
And
a
if you put in the work, you'll eventually start getting noticed over the people who are putting in the bare minimum.
You get the last word. Is there anything I left out that you wanted to promote? Anything? Or one more time, the what's it called? The Music Biz QR.
Music Biz QR.
And then you're going to have a QR code, and it's going to
.com.
link you up with some really cool technology. .com, the Danny Nova Band. You see it on the screen, so you just keep looking at that. It's going to stay on even after we go off. And then it's going to be in the video. But you are going to continue to perform, continue to write right here from the land of music. And I guess that's it. I don't know what else we got.
I just want to remind everybody to look at the Sweets new release.
Okay.
With Steve Priest on bass and backing vocals, wrote the song, and
Sweet Dreams.
the name of it's the song is Sweet Dreams by The Sweet.
By The
The
Sweet.
American version. Of
The American
Sweet,
version.
with Ari Kamen singing lead from Steve Adler, who is the drummer of Guns N' Roses, his band. So he's with Steve right now. Yeah, and the Sweet. So
Absolutely. And then go on their YouTube page and, you know, look up the Danny Nova Band. You're going to see a whole plethora of songs. You're really going to enjoy them. I started off, what was the song I started off? Can't Stop, I think. Is that what I started with?
Can't stop.
That's what I'm
No,
going to,
remember.
I think that's what I'm going to finish
Can't
with,
Stop? Yeah.
where we left off. And that's it. Go for your dream, right? Sweet
Yeah,
dreams.
Never
And
give up on yourself.
you never give up on yourself. Look at you get to hang out with the great, the notorious Danny Nova and the Danny Nova Band. And I love your hat, man. Is that a new look?
Let's see. What do I have on? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different hat than I'm used to seeing.
I'm like,
You know, you
Different
change
hat.
per
I wear
season.
different hats.
Yeah, you're the
I'm
man of different hats. You always like you should call yourselves the Black Hats. I'm throwing that in the ring just in case you guys run out of names. Anyway, their logo is going to come on the Danny Nova Band. So keep it in your head, keep it in your heart. Root for these guys, become a fan, and you know maybe you guys will correspond with them in the future. All right, we're live from Music Row, the new Music Row, Berry Hill, just a stone throw from the great city of Nashville, Tennessee. This is Nash Talk. I'm Chris Anthony, Danny Nova, Zach Attack. Now, what's your last name?
Zach Garrett.
Zach Garrett. That's like
Garrett, everybody.
There you go.
The infamous Danny Nova. Here in about 20, 30 years, you're going to have the infamous Zach Garrett too. Small.
That's right. If I have anything to say.
My brother. I love it, man. All right, you
That's
guys are
my
great.
guys.
All right, give yourselves a big round of applause. Yay! Look at my clap. Those are people clapping in the back. Look at all these lights, man. You know, I mean, this is the real green screen studio. I love this, man. I didn't have to bring anything. This is great. All right, I'm gonna play some tunes here, and now that's the song. Now, NOW. Now, all right, guys. Good luck.